Hi there, it's Kevin Cox from Beyond Method Acting. Hope you're doing well. So in today's video, I want to share with you a really important concept, a very important principle, and it's called point of view. And this, when, in acting, there's a big cliche around becoming the character, and especially if you're talking about method acting, people will say, well, method acting, that's where you become that character. You live it. If you're going to play a homeless person, you got to go live out on the street or under a bridge, for 2 weeks or some crazy stuff like that. And that's just not reality. And the reality is you don't become the character. You're not going to become Hamlet. You're not going to become Indiana Jones. It's like you have to understand just how your character sees the world. And we all respond. Our emotions and our behaviors, they all are a direct response from our point of view. So if you were to ask me, hey Kevin, what do you think, tell me about your old Uncle Luke. And if I start talking about my old Uncle Luke, who was one of my favorite uncles, you see it makes automatically kind of start grinning and all this, because I just remember his sense of humor and just loved his jokes and how he just teased me and my cousins all the time. He was just just a ton of fun. Now if you ask me about a couple of my other relatives, might not have such a peaceful happy thought, and but I have a very specific point of view of how I see that person. In your characters, when you're working through a script, you have to understand what is their point of view to each character, to each thing that they have in that story. So let's just say, for example, let's say you're playing a cop, and this is a cop that actually, it's not a hardened cop like typical thing. Let's say this cop is someone that believes, there's good in everyone. And then let's say there's an interrogation scene. How do you think most actors, if you gave them an interrogation scene, would go in and play it? They'd probably be kind of, play the tough guy cop. But if you were a cop, that if you understood, wow, this character believes that there's good in everyone, how they interact and pull out the information that they need from those people is going to be very different from a character that has a point of view of like, all these people are scum of the earth. You can't trust anybody. Everybody will lie to you. They'll stab you in the back the first chance they get. That's going to be a very different type of behavior that's coming out of those characters. And so a simple way of knowing what is my character's point of view is, one, obviously read the script, pay attention to what they're saying, but then also just phrase this question to yourself. Let's say your character's name is Sam. It's like, I, Sam, believe the world is X. And then you allow yourself to fill in that blank. Don't sit here and try to ponder it and think it. You just immediately ask that question and then boom, fill it in. So you can be like, I, Sam, I believe the world is a place where we can all win. And that will come to you from, the information that you've gotten from that script, but you're putting it in your own words of like, oh, my character, it's like the world is a place where you can really win. So when you go in, you may have a speech in a monologue or in some scene where you're trying to encourage someone not to give up on their dreams. And if you were really understanding, wow, this is a guy that believes the world is a place where you can truly win. If you really go and you put your best foot forward and you put out the effort that you need to do and the discipline, then you're going to win. You can become the things that you want to be. And you don't have to try to act that. You will truly organically come from a place because you have a very specific understanding of their point of view. So a good way to start practicing this to get an understanding of your own point of view, because you need to understand your own point of view on things so you can start to relate and personalize material for yourself, so you can truly dig into yourself. Because if you're leaving yourself out of the equation, the acting is just going to be, it's going to be a line reading. So a good way to start practicing and getting an understanding for yourself so you can really begin to get your own triggers, so you can bring a deeper part of yourself into your acting, a truer part of yourself into your acting, is to really just start paying attention to the newspaper. And when you read, or in any magazines, read it, and then really take the time to say, like, wow, how do I really feel about that? You know what? And you might just do a little writing assignment. It's very helpful to write out, 1 to 2 things and just start sharing to yourself. You don't have to share it with anybody, but write down, like, what are your thoughts on this? You could do it on any topic you can think of, on marriage, immigration, what's going on, and anything in politics, on religion. These are all on love, on violence, all the things that we see in film and television all the time. You have to get a clear understanding of your point of view about that. And when you have that, then it opens up your emotional life much easier. And then a very helpful thing to do on top of that is, now you know your specific point of view, but now come back and try to defend the opposite point of view of that. So let's say you start writing something about, you're thinking about abortion, and you might have a scene where you have to play this character that's very pro-life, and but you're maybe someone that's very pro-choice. It's like, so you have to get into the point of view of someone of that understanding, coming through that lens of that person, like how they see that world. So a good practice is to go back and forth of sharing your own view if you're a pro-choice person, and then coming back and stepping into the shoes of this person that might be a pro-lifer and argue from that standpoint. But you start getting a very specific understanding and a feel for that point of view. So give this a go. And when you're working on your characters, always, or when you're working through the script, always be looking for what is their point of view. And this is honestly, I believe, one of the simplest things. When you have a good, clear understanding of that, it helps so many other things in your acting, just from this one little ingredient right here. Okay, thanks so much for watching this video, and we'll catch you in the next one. Take care.